I'm 108 miles from Snowdon. I'm 24 miles from Cardiff, 24 miles from Minehead, 28 miles from Ilfracombe, but 2,000 miles from the coast of Canada. Well, there are no prizes for guessing where we are today, because the clue is behind me with the great steelworks at Port Talbot. We're here on this glorious beach at Kenfig, and what a remarkable place this is, because these elements that I can feel today, water, the sea and the wind, have played such an important role in creating this amazing, incredible landscape. And the history here is absolutely fascinating, from medieval developments inland down to shipwrecks, of which there were many along this notorious coast. The sand here is constantly on the move, and the profile of these dunes can change so very, very rapidly, especially when the strong prevailing westerlies blow in from the sea. It was in the 15th century that the people of the town, castle and church of Kenfig had major problems, because the sand was gradually encroaching further and further and taking over their buildings, so much so that they were actually instructed to abandon the town and move inland. Well, these fragmentary lumps of masonry are now all that remains of what was once a very, very important strategic castle here along the coastal plain of South Wales. And there was a castle and there was a church recorded here in 1135 and 1154. So, here we are, adjacent to the busy M4 motorway, but a site of great medieval historic significance. So this castle at Kenfig was an important link in the chain of castles that were built right along the coast of South Wales. And this castle was the focus for a lot of attention, because of course in came those Norman invaders, displaced the indigenous population, pushed them into the so-called Welshry, into the uplands behind me, and occupied this, what was a very rich and fertile area. Little wonder then that this castle was attacked no less than 8 times during its history. This developed into a substantial borough with 134 burgages of house plots recorded in 1314, with a population of about 800 people. And it was complete with a guild hall and a hospital for lepers. This church, St. Mary Magdalene, is thought to date from the 12th century and is also thought to have very close association with lepers, because it may have been one of the churches where they came to give prayers en route to a pilgrimage to St. David's. I find the name of this church absolutely fascinating. Magdalene, St. Mary's Magdalene. And the name is really fascinating because it's thought to derive from the Latin, which means watchtower, but it may also derive from the fact that people who were born in the community of Magdalena on the Sea of Galilee. The local community's name is thought to be taken from the title of the church itself. This building also is thought to have connection with lepers as well. It may even have been used to provide accommodation. And early documentation indicates that it was a long, low building divided into 5 separate compartments, each with its own door, so there could be a level of isolation, just like our lockdown today. However, the machinations of humans were and are of little consequence against the power of nature. And during the 15th century, the blowing sand was overwhelming the town. When the antiquary Leland visited in the 1530s, he noted that the castle and village were, and I quote him, both in ruins and almost shocked and devoured with the sands that the Severn Sea there casteth up. No need for excavation here because this place just resonates with history. The Prince of Wales Inn. Its former name was Tavern Ty Newydd, and it dates from the 15th century. So the name may actually indicate that this was being built at a time when the old village was being inundated with the sifting sands. Oh my goodness, it's such a relief to take these masks off. But we've been especially privileged today because Lucy, the manager of the pub here in the Prince of Wales, has opened up specially for us, although the pub is closed because of COVID. But we've had this chance to get inside and see this wonderful place because it's absolutely stuffed with history. And it's been used for many purposes throughout its life. It's been a town hall, a guild hall, a market. There was a Sunday school here, and also the room upstairs was used by the Commissioner for Inquests. And given its long history, it's little wonder that this place should be populated by ghosts. And Lucy has actually had some personal experiences of the supernatural. How long have you worked here?
I've been here 7 years now. Long time.
So I guess in that 7 years, well, you've had a couple of supernatural experiences.
I have, yes. Well, the most recent one I've had is when my 3-year-old cousin came to see me in work, and we went upstairs and he was playing around, hiding from me, and he stopped and he pointed and he just said he misses his mummy. Well, little did he know as a 3-year-old that there's a little boy who haunts up in the town hall from when he died on his way to Sunday school.
Good grief, so yeah. The youngster actually saw the little boy?
He did, yes.
Wow. Do you know anything about the story behind the boy on his way to Sunday school?
Yes, so upstairs was a Sunday school for about 120 years, I think. And a lady used to go around and pick the children up for Sunday school. The lane just up the road, something spooked the horse, which flipped the cart, and it killed the little boy. But we have the original Sunday school cupboard up there, which is where he kind of comes from. Wow,
that's absolutely fascinating. And what about your personal experiences?
I've seen a few things. 3 of us have seen a dark, tall figure running around the place on 3 separate occasions, and we didn't know the others had seen it until we actually spoke about it together. I thought it was Dave, our landlord, because it was in the middle of Gareth leaving and Dave coming in. And when I went upstairs to go see if it was, they were all in the town hall talking, and I was in the kitchen, and yeah, this figure just ran past me.
And does it happen at any particular time, or
day or night? It doesn't matter. They'll appear when they want to.
Are there any sort of occasions when the spirits, as it were, the ghosts, seem to get a bit agitated and upset?
Yeah, when Gareth first came back into the pub after he'd left, he came in with his wife Julie, and they were having a drink, and he was by the bar and Julie was just on the other side of the room, and he said to me, oh, go and give her half a cider. So we had half Stella glasses just above our heads. I picked one up and poured her half, and off I went. And as I was just going underneath just to go into the bar area, a Stella glass flew above my head and landed by the glass washer, which is about 2 feet away, 2-3 feet away here.
Absolutely amazing. I've never ever experienced anything like, anything supernatural. So, were you scared or were you excited? What was your emotion?
A bit of both. I mean, Gareth always told us not to be frightened of them because they're not going to hurt us. But when you do have a glass fly above your head, then yeah, it does get a bit scary.
Wow. Well, Lucy, I'm absolutely astonished by these stories. As I say, I've never had any experience of it, so it's been such a pleasure and privilege to talk to somebody who's actually seen and experienced it for themselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, I've had a lifelong interest in the history of Wales and visited some wonderful places. But this place is just amazing because it's a mini museum. The whole history of this local community is pinned here on the walls. It really is a terrific environment. If you're interested in any way in the history of this locality and the general history of South Wales, then this is a place to visit. It's an absolute must. There's so much history in this place that I've been absolutely staggered by it. This whole landscape is peppered with myth and legend. And this standing stone should avoid this on Christmas Day, because then in the morning it makes its way down to the sea to drink before returning to its original position. If, however, you happen to cross its path or even see the stone moving, then instant death. Also, beware of the Gwalch-y-Rhibyn, the hag of the mists, who roams the beach between Sker and Kenfig, moaning and shrieking in a doleful and disagreeable manner. Her apparition, often accompanied by a corpse light, is the portent of forthcoming shipwrecks. Should she scream your name, then you're doomed. Doom is a thread that runs through another local legend, made famous by the 19th century author R.D. Blackmore, who spent some of his formative years living in Nottage. Doubtless he heard the story of the Maid of Sker, based around the deeply historic and beautifully restored Sker House that was originally a medieval monastic grange and was much remodelled in the 16th century. His book, published in 1872, was one of the best sellers at the time. Now this place is said to be haunted by two ghosts. One a captain whose ship was wrecked on Sker Point, and the other Elizabeth Williams, who was locked in her bedroom to stop her running off with her impecunious lover. She died there of a broken heart. Both of these ghosts are said to roam the corridors at night. There's such great fun in trying to unravel where fact and fiction overlap and intertwine, because an Elizabeth Williams of Sker House was married to William Kirkhouse of Neath in 1801. She died in 1810. He was later to become the engineer of the Tennant Canal. But perhaps the best known fable is the one that's associated with this pool behind me. When I was a kid, my father would have me believe that this was a bottomless, fathomless pool. But of course, at its deepest point, it's only about 3 meters deep. But nevertheless, that doesn't detract from the fact there's a wonderful story associated with this, because beneath these dark, still waters lie the ruins of the inundated village, where on stormy days, if you listen very, very carefully, you can hear the church bells ring out their doleful tune. So, how in terms of the fable was this pool formed? Well, here we go again. It's another story of thwarted love, because the daughter of local lord was in love with a lad of lowly status. And father forbade the marriage. He wasn't having it by any terms, and so the lad was forced to go off and seek his fortune. But unlike so many stories of thwarted love, this one has a slight twist to it, because the young man eventually came back, still broke, but he happened to chance upon the local rent collector, who was loaded with cash. So all it took was a quick murder, dispose of the body, and then the young man presented himself at his lover's door, laden with money. Of course, he was accepted. Daughter was delighted, father was delighted, young man was delighted, and so they married. Now, on the night of their marriage, a huge storm broke out, and the rain poured and the wind howled. And on the wind they could hear a screeching voice which said, "Vengeance is mine, vengeance is mine." And that was followed by ninth generation, ninth generation, ninth generation. The couple were long-lived, and indeed they lived long enough to see the ninth generation, a boy. And on the evening when they were celebrating this notable birth, yet another terrific storm broke out, this time worse than anything that had been experienced before. And once again, that voice was here to scream, "Vengeance has come! Vengeance has come! Vengeance has come!" This time, all was lost, and the wind and the rain and the sea rushed in and engulfed the community and its inhabitants. The following morning, all that could be seen were 3 chimneys poking out of the water, still belching forth smoke. If you should come down here one day and see those 3 chimneys once again, then they are the precursors of a violent storm. I just love the way that fact and fiction blend together to produce these stories that are so much part of our rich cultural heritage. But I also find the reality so exciting, because here in this environment, this wonderful area of natural history, full of rare species of plants, full of wonderful bird and small mammal life, it really is just a terrific place to be. The natural environment here is absolutely superb, and here in the bird hide overlooking the pool is the perfect place to look out for the winter visitors to Kenfig, and could find mallard, tufted duck, great crested grebe, cormorants. Although we haven't had much luck today, nevertheless, this is the perfect place to just capture some of the magic of this place. I just love the way, especially at this time of the year, where it's difficult to really figure out where the sea, where the salt and where the fresh water begins and the land ends, and vice versa. It's such a wonderful environment. Indeed, you could look upon this and say, well, here we are, our own Welsh Everglades. And who knows what's buried beneath these undulating sand dunes, these still pools. Perhaps we have, once again, our own very Pompeii of Wales. So this National Nature Reserve here at Kenfig is just such a wonderful place. It's bisected by the M4 motorway and the main South Wales railway line, bordered by Porthcawl on one side, Port Talbot on the other side. Yet it's a very special haven where fact and fiction, human and natural history blend together to produce this really astonishing, outstanding landscape. And it's a place that you need to visit time and time and time again to really start to understand the complexity and significance of this wonderful part of the world.